This is the Sony 16-35 f2.8 G Master lens. I haven't even had this lens 2 weeks yet as of recording this video, but I've used it for a couple of client bits. I've used it for making some YouTube content. I've done some photography with it, and I have been flabbergasted with the quality of this lens and what it can deliver. So much so that I think this is the best all-round wide-angled lens that you can get for Sony full-frame cameras, and especially the Sony A7IV. I know it's expensive, but let me explain why. So let's dive straight into the reasons why I bought this lens and what I wanted from it. So I wanted a lens that was going to be really good for run and gun kind of situations, that be for client stuff, but also YouTube as well. This is actually the very first wide angled lens I've ever owned on any camera. The widest I've ever had previously was 24. So what I wanted from this lens in particular was that 16 to be really good for getting those nice wide establishers, maybe getting a bit of architecture, being great for vlogging as well. 16mm is a hell of an improvement for vlogging over something like a 24. But 24 for me, when it comes to vlogging at least, is a little bit too tight. It's too claustrophobic. You have to hold your arm all the way out, and even then it's like sometimes a medium close-up, and I think it's just too close, too personal. You open that up to a 16mm and I feel like it's more welcoming. You see more of the background, you see more of what I want to show you in the background. We also have the flip side with the 35 being great for tightening in, getting in some of those nice detail close-ups, getting some real nice cinematic b-roll, getting great photography with it as well. 35 is a very popular focal length when it comes to street photography as well. So hopefully when I go traveling, which is one of the reasons I bought this lens, was for traveling, going to different locations, being able to have a versatile set of focal lengths to allow me to get those nice wides, get those street shots. So this lens for those kind of scenarios as well is going to tick all the right boxes. What other things then do I like about this lens? Well, the first one is the sharpness. This lens is razor sharp, like you'd expect it from a G Master lens, but for photography, for video, it's gonna be superb, and also gonna give me a lot of flexibility as well if it comes to cropping, if I want to crop into my images, which I'll talk about a little bit later on with Super 35 mode with the Sony A7IV. The other things I like, the build quality. The build quality in this thing, it feels durable, like you can feel it. This lens also has a fast aperture of f2.8, which is going to be great for creating that shallow depth of field, and also going to be great for lower light conditions, and as well, it's also going to create some real nice bokeh as well, especially on the 35mm end. So this lens, right, is complete clutch, but it is still really expensive. Now, all of those things I just mentioned do make it worth it for me personally, because obviously I bought it, but I understand for other people spending £1,400 on a wide angled lens like this might not be an option. Also, you might be wondering how I got it for £1,400. I went through a type of grey market, so I saved £300 by not buying it from Amazon, and saved about £600 by not buying it from Sony. Sorry, Sony. So what other wide angled lenses are there available on the market? When I was doing my research, there were another 3 that stood out to me, but then there were reasons why I didn't buy those particular lenses, and I'm going to go through the reasons why. So the first one was the Sony 16-35 f4 power zoom one. It's a very recent addition to Sony's line of lenses, but for me, power zooms, they don't interest me. It's also f4. It is super lightweight, which is really good if you are doing a lot of run and gunning and you're wanting a nice lightweight setup. But again, it's f4, it's not a G Master lens, and also it's expensive for what it is. The next lens is the Sony Zeiss 16-35 f4 with optical steady shot. Out of all the lenses I'm going to mention, this is the only wide angle one with optical steady shot, which is a bit surprising because not even this G Master has it, but it is f4, so it's not going to be the best in lower light conditions. You're not going to get that shallow depth of field compared to an f2.8. And also, it's not the sharpest lens anymore. It's still sharp, But with photography, I've heard other people say that when you zoom into the image, the center of the image isn't the sharpest. So if you are doing photography and you want landscape stuff, then maybe this lens wouldn't be the best option. And then the final option, which is a really good one, is the Tamron 17-28. Now, yes, this isn't 16-35, but it has a really good focal length and it is really budget friendly. It's F2.8, it's got a quite good construction to it. It's not going to be as durable as something like this G Master, but it is a really good option. I've heard a lot of great things about this lens, and if you do own this lens, it'll be great to hear your thoughts on it as well. Now let's have a look at why I think the Sony 16-35 f2.8 G Master lens is one of the best lenses you can get right now for the Sony A7IV. As I mentioned, these two in conjunction with one another is an absolute killer combo. When it comes to photography, you have the razor sharp lens right here, 33 megapixel sensor, so you are able to crop, punch into your image a little bit more, maybe isolate a subject within the frame. You're able to crop a landscape image to portrait without losing little to no quality whatsoever. It is fantastic for all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to video, the 16-35 actually combats an issue I have with the Sony A7IV. Now don't get me wrong, this is an amazing camera and I will be doing a full review of it. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, turn on the bell icon so you don't miss any video that I drop onto the channel, including this review right here, whenever I get around to actually filming it. Something that the Sony 16-35mm combats for me is the 4K 60 crop with the Sony A7IV. Now I'm probably in the minority here, but I don't think the Sony A7IV should have come with a crop, especially at the price you pay for this camera. That's probably just a very strong opinion. A lot of people might disagree with it, but I'll go into more details of why when I do the full review of this camera. But when you actually combine this lens, this camera, 4K 60, Super 35, the crop doesn't actually become that noticeable. You go from 16 to 24, and then it goes to 35 to 52. So you get the equivalent of a 24 to 52mm lens, which when you're doing B-roll, sometimes is a bit of a benefit having that punch-in, because usually you're going to be closer to a subject to draw focus to it. Sometimes you're not going to be super wide and shoot 4K 60, but if you wanted to, 24 is plenty enough. So for me, that crop doesn't become that noticeable and is actually easier to manage. So what's some of the things that I don't like about the Sony 16-35 G Master lens? Well, the list is kind of short. We can complain about the price. If you're buying this from a retailer such as Amazon, it's going to set you back £1,700, which is more than my car cost me. My car cost me £1,495. I mean, this is better than my car in every single way, apart from it doesn't have an engine or 4 wheels. Apart from that, it is the best of the best, and that is the important factor here. This is the best of the best. This isn't the best of the budget or best on X, Y, and Z. Nothing else comes close to this lens with this focal length for Sony full frame cameras right now. So the next one is optical steady shot. Now I'm not really bothered that this lens doesn't have it, but also at the same time it's something just worth mentioning that with the price point you might expect something like this to have it, but also at the same time it might make the lens more heavier if it did have optical steady shot put in the lens. If you look at the Sony Zeiss lens, that does have optical steady shot, but it is f4, meaning it can be in a more compact package. This is f2.8, meaning it has to be quite a big lens, and then if you do throw optical steady shot in there, it might make it more heavier, which means optical steady shot might be outweighed by the weight if you are vlogging with it handheld. So there are a lot of pros and cons, a lot of things that go into that to make it so, but I'm not really bothered that it doesn't have optical steady shot, which is what I'm trying to say in a very long-winded way. The other complaint I see about this lens is the weight, but the weight for me personally doesn't bother me that much, and that's because I look at what I've been shooting with in the past for the content I'm using this lens for, and that is the 24-70. Now this lens right here is over a kilogram. It is a heavy lens, so going down to something that weighs like 600 grams, you feel that immediately, and it makes it a lot easier to vlog with. Also at the same time, the weight doesn't bother me because I'd like it to be nice and durable. And there is another way I can combat the weight of this lens, and that is by like going to the gym. yeah, that's going to happen. So after all that, I haven't got any real complaints about the lens because I've been able to justify all of them. It's the perfect lens. So all in all then guys, this is one of the best all-round lenses you can get for the Sony A7 IV and Sony cameras in general. And if you are like looking at getting a wide angle lens and you're just holding off buying one, it's totally understandable. They are very expensive. This is the very first wide angle lens that I've personally ever owned. It's taken years for me to pull the trigger on buying one, but I do not regret it. You just got to look at what your needs are, what you're looking to get from a lens, and take it from there. As I said, the Tamron is a great alternative. It's a lot cheaper than this lens and will do you right. But if you are doing like client shoots, if you are going to be like making that money back and it's going to be an investment piece, then something like this is worthy of being in your camera bag. If you guys have got any questions about this lens or the other lenses that I have mentioned, drop them in the comment section below, and it'll be awesome to hear your thoughts about this lens and wide angle lenses in general as well. Do you own one? Do you use one? Do you want one? It'd be great to hear what you guys have to say. But the last thing to do today is have a look through the hashtag CP photos and see what you guys have been creating. Let's start with this photograph by Nipshar Photography of this amazing spiral staircase. That is absolutely stunning. You have framed that perfectly and absolutely smashed that shot. We've got Chrome Hill here by Explore with Colin. I actually tried to go to this place and ended up driving around or through Chrome Hill. Couldn't figure out where to park. Amazing place, but yeah, really lost for parking. Our next one is this one by Jack.Rich.Photo of this nest in these traffic lights, and that's just a really unique and different kind of frame. I kind of vibe that. This one right here by A Lazy Traveler. Well, that is not a lazy shot right there. That is pretty cool, pretty beautiful, and what a sky. This is a real nice portrait shot by Mustache Lens. Real nice stuff right there, nice golden hour. This is really cool by, oh, another Lazy Traveler. Great one, dude. We've jumped into recent, and our next photograph is this one by the Photographer Corner. I love this reflection shot right here of the shroud, two people reflected in the window as well. Framed it perfectly. Great edit thrown onto the photo. Absolutely vibe it. That's awesome. This macro shot here by Steph's Macro World. Wow, look at the detail. That is creepy. Right, I need to stop looking at macro stuff or I'm going to want to buy a macro lens. Awesome shots, dude. Absolutely love them. This one right here by Towhid himself. Really cool shot right here. Cityscape with the moon right there from Sydney, Australia. Absolutely great shot, smashed it. This one right here by Northern Negatives, New York City, a place I really want to visit. This looks so cool. Love the vibe, love the edit. Great leading lines right there. This is really cool by Inner Streets. That is a really nice frame. I've never taken a photograph there before, and I like that you've got two people in the frame as well. Just brings this whole image together. Really cool stuff right there. Alright, and that is where I'm going to be leaving today's video about the 16-35mm lens. If you did like today's video, like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that great stuff. Really helps out the channel. It'll be really deeply appreciated. But yeah, that is where I'm going to leave it. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye.